The documentary we're watching this of a movement. It's Julia Reichert and Stephen Bognar who produced and directed this film. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. This has been fun.
Thanks, David.
The doc's on PBS and the PBS app this month. Links at marketplace.org. We're watching a documentary film once a month as part of our Econ Extra Credit project. If you watch, send me a reaction if you would. Email me using extracredit@marketplace.org. Extra credit. I'm David Brancaccio, Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.
Baptist Health and Wolfson Children's Hospital are here for children in or at risk of a mental health crisis. Our 24/7 Kids and Teens Helpline.
First Coast Connect, bringing to the community innovation in transportation planning, commuter services, clean fuels, and intelligent transportation systems. More at northfloridatpo.com.
This is WJCT News 89.9 Jacksonville. Ahead in the next 5 minutes, live local news for the First Coast from the WJCT News team.
Jumping Jacksonville Beach. I'm Melissa Ross, and just ahead this hour on First Coast Connect, even in the middle of a pandemic, things are happening at Jacksonville Beach with plenty of new developments, either opening or planned. We'll speak with Mayor Christine Hoffman. Then later.
Grubhub has literally gone so far as to make duplicate phone numbers for restaurants that have agreements with them. And so when a customer tries to call in an order through Yelp, it goes through this phone number, gets forwarded to the restaurant, and then Grubhub charges the restaurant.
Customers and restaurant owners speak out about third-party food delivery apps. Are they predatory? Are they harming the restaurant industry rather than helping it? All of that and more is just ahead. After the day's news.
Live from NPR News, I'm Corva Coleman. House impeachment managers are expected to finish presenting evidence against former President Donald Trump today. NPR's Carrie Johnson reports Democrats argue Trump sent a mob to attack the Capitol last month.
House impeachment manager Stacey Plaskett says the former president put a target on the backs of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and former Vice President Mike Pence. She played images of rioters running through the Capitol, calling out for members of Congress. Newly disclosed security footage underscores how close Pence and others came to danger. Extremists got about 60 steps away from senators and 100 feet from Pence. Trump's defense lawyers say the former president did not intend to incite violence. They now denounce the attack, but argue Trump didn't have anything to do with it. Carrie Johnson, NPR News, Washington.
President Biden held his first official conversation with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Wednesday. Biden pressed Xi on issues such as China's crackdown in Hong Kong and predatory economic actions. The White House says the leaders also discussed areas of cooperation, such as the coronavirus pandemic. The pandemic continues to show signs of improvement in the U.S. Daily cases are down about 35% from 2 weeks ago. Will Stone reports health experts say the steady decline is an encouraging sign.
It's not just a drop in cases. The number of people in the hospital for COVID has plummeted from around 130,000 in mid-January to now more than 80,000 nationwide. Deaths are also now trending down. Dr. David Rubin directs the policy lab at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia.
We are seeing declining cases. And what's interesting about this phase we're in, we're seeing it everywhere, in every region.
Rubin says there's no one reason, but the end of holiday travel, people being more careful, growing immunity, and the change in season could all be contributing. For NPR News, I'm Will Stone.
A Minnesota man is due in court today. He is suspected of killing a woman and wounding 4 other people at a health center near Minneapolis. Minnesota Public Radio's Matt Sepik says the shooting occurred this week.
67-year-old Gregory Ulrich is facing murder, attempted murder, and explosives charges. Authorities say he opened fire at the Allina Health Clinic in Buffalo, Minnesota on Tuesday, killing 37-year-old medical assistant Lindsay Overbay. She leaves behind a husband and 2 small children.
Matt Sepik reporting. The Labor Department has released its weekly report on unemployment claims. These fell last week by about 19,000 claims to about 793,000. Overall, the labor market data continued to show a weak recovery in U.S. labor markets. That is due to the coronavirus pandemic. You're listening to NPR News.
It's 9:04. This is WJCT News 89.9 in Jacksonville. More than 694,000 Floridians have gotten both doses of a COVID-19 vaccine, according to state reports. As Florida health reporter Abe Abaraya tells us, the state has more than doubled the percent of the population that's fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
Florida has administered 65% of the 4.2 million vaccines it has gotten from the federal government. That's slightly less than the national average of 68%, but a significant improvement from last month when less than 25% of vaccines had been given. Speaking in Jacksonville, Governor Ron DeSantis now says Florida would accept federal help giving vaccines as long as it is an increase in the state's allocations.
But if they want to do it and not take it out of our kitty and add to the kitty, that's fine as well. So I know there's discussions about them potentially doing that.
One statistic we don't know, Florida stopped reporting how many people are late getting their second dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. At last check, more than 44,000 people were behind. I'm Abe Abaraya in Orlando.
In Georgia, a prosecutor says she's opened a criminal investigation into attempts to influence the outcome of last year's general election. The Fulton County District Attorney did not specifically mention Donald Trump, however. The former president has come under intense criticism for a call he made to the state's top elections official. Right now, it's 61 degrees, still very foggy here in downtown and around most areas of Jacksonville. Should become mostly sunny this afternoon with a high reaching 80 degrees.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Cybereason, a cybersecurity company dedicated to helping companies end cyber attacks on computers, mobile devices, servers, and the cloud. Details at cybereason.com. And Americans for the Arts.
Why Jacksonville Beach is on the rise. Good morning. We're live from Studio 5. I'm Melissa Ross, and this is First Coast Connect. Thanks for listening. Just ahead from the new Margaritaville to the restored Beach Bowl to the rebuilt Jack's Beach Fishing Pier. The beaches are jumping even in this pandemic. We'll speak with Jack's Beach Mayor Christine Hoffman. She'll crow a little bit and tell us all what's happening out at the beaches. Let's hear from you, beaches. Give us a call, 549-2937. Then later, food delivery apps are hotter than ever right now in this pandemic, but some customers and restaurant owners say they're predatory. We'll examine that. But first this hour, the latest numbers on the pandemic. Yesterday, the state reported coronavirus cases increased by just over 7,500, closing in on nearly 1.8 million cumulative cases of COVID. Hospitalizations ticked down, but deaths rose to a current death tally of 28,208. Meanwhile, there are plenty of new places to get vaccinated opening up all around town, including at Walmarts, Winn-Dixie stores, Harvey stores, pharmacies. Check WJCT.org for a full rundown for the location nearest to you. Now, in the midst of the pandemic, Jacksonville Beach has been undergoing a renaissance of sorts. From the newly opened Margaritaville Resort to the Jack's Beach Town Center and much more. It's a community with a lot happening now and a lot planned for this year, even in the middle of the pandemic. Mayor Christine Hoffman of Jacksonville Beach has a lot to smile about, even in these challenging times. And she joins us now. Mayor, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today.
Thanks for being with us. And we're talking about everything going on at the beaches. Give us a call. We want to hear from you. Jacksonville Beach, Neptune Beach, Atlantic Beach, Ponte Vedra. Call us up now, 549-2937. As we look at what's going on in your neck of the woods, 549-2937. Emails to firstcoastconnect@wjct.org. Tweets to @MelissaInJax, and our Facebook page is open. Mayor Hoffman, first off, let me just say congrats to you. with so much positive news to share for a change. We're excited to do a positive segment finally on this show after so much bad news for so long. Let's begin with, I know you want to talk about the Beaches Museum because you're executive director there as well. We'll get to that in a minute. But if we could, let's begin with all of the new developments happening, beginning with the Margaritaville Resort that just opened at the beaches. How do you see that as perhaps becoming a focal point for tourism and economic growth at the beach?
Sure. And let me just say, I'm thrilled to be here with positive news as well. It's definitely a little bit of a change for us over the past year and everything that we've gone through. But Margaritaville, to me, marks an inflection point for our downtown Jacksonville Beach area. This was a lot that was basically surrounded by chain link fence for almost 2 decades. So to see a new beautiful hotel open in that spot is welcome change for a lot of us, and I think it's going to really help connect the downtown a little bit more, but also to bring an audience of visitors to our downtown area that will patronize our restaurants and shops and bars and things like that. So I'm really excited to see them open. One of my favorite things about Margaritaville is that they've made the Landshark restaurant very accessible to First Street and to the 6th Avenue street end there. So you don't have to drive up a driveway to a fancy resort to get into the restaurant. You can literally come right in off the street. And the biggest lack, though, is bike racks. And I told the owner there that beach cruisers are our preferred method of transportation up and down First Street. So they're working to get some bike racks installed as soon as possible. Just adds extra parking for our beaches community.
You'll need it for another big development, the new 2-story mixed-use property called Jack's Beach Town Center. This is happening along First Avenue, demolition underway for a couple of buildings there to make way for this new development. Tell us what we can expect there.
So when we saw the building come down, and it's basically completely demolished now and gone. A lot of people lamented the loss of Campeche Bay, but just to remember that Campeche Bay had already closed. So those buildings, the other building was Ruby Beach Brewing, had also already closed. So they were sitting there with somewhat of an uncertain future. Mark Angelo, who is a local well-known developer to Jacksonville Beach, he's got some beautiful projects, including the Bonefish Grill complex down at the south end, as well as the location where Burrito Gallery is right at Beach and 3rd, came in and bought the buildings and put a plan together for the Jacksonville Beach Town Center. And it's going to be a 2-story complex with, I believe the plans include a restaurant, retail space, some second-floor outdoor dining, as well as event space. So it's going to be right in that corridor coming into Jacksonville Beach, catty corner from City Hall. So it's going to be a very prominent location, and I think it's really important to have a really committed developer there who's going to make sure it looks great, has great tenants, and is a really positive contribution to that heart of our downtown area. So I'm really looking forward to see what is to come there.
Here's another piece of positive news, the iconic Beach Bowl, which has been around since the 50s. It had been closed for a couple of years, but it's going to be restored, reopened. It will also have a restaurant with some rooftop dining.
I think that was, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think that was the news that caught fire across the region. It was so welcome to everyone, me included. I spent many a night with friends in high school bowling at Beach Bowl and had friends who worked there and things like that. So it was sad for a lot of reasons. With my mayor hat on, it was sad because it's a tremendously prominent location on our central corridor into town. Beach Boulevard is it's your entrance into Jacksonville Beach for so many, and to have that area, it's a very large parking area. It's a very large building to sit there empty, again, with an uncertain future. To hear this news was a relief, not only for people who are looking for this type of entertainment in our community, but also from a development perspective and from the perspective of the appearance of our city as you come in on our main corridor. So I think that the tremendous investment there is a huge relief, and I think it's going to be a beautiful, more modern concept, but with also the the nod to the historic beach bowl that's been such an iconic part of our landscape for the past 50 years. So I'm very excited to see that one. And for all of them, I think the investment that we're seeing in Jacksonville Beach is so positive and just shows the confidence for people to establish or to reestablish businesses in our community.
Right. Let's talk about that at a broader level. All of this stuff happening in the midst of this really tough time is encouraging. Do you hope that it will spur more consumer confidence at the beaches as we kind of come out of this pandemic slowly and painstakingly?
I do. And I think that even beyond that, we saw that Whole Foods got a lot of attention when it opened down at the south end, but we also had Native Sun reopen up in the north end of Jacksonville Beach. So both of those businesses coming in and then reemerging in our community were both such great signs for me. The consumer confidence, I feel people are very interested, especially at the beaches. We really want to stay at the beach for our commerce and for our entertainment. So to see both of those, and along with the ones we've just talked about coming into our community, has been great for beaches residents. But again, also for visitors, and I think they'll continue to be a draw to bring people into our area.
Give us a call, Jax Beach, Neptune Beach, Atlantic Beach, Ponte Vedra Beach, as we speak with Jax Beach Mayor Christine Hoffman. We'll go to your calls in a few minutes. It's 549-2937. And Mayor, construction has even resumed on the Jax Beach Pier, which of course lost about 25% of its length after Hurricanes Matthew and Irma. When do you expect the pier to be reopened?
I believe I've heard 2022. I will say that the Jacksonville Beach Pier is owned by the city of Jacksonville. So that one, although it comes off the shore of Jacksonville Beach, is owned and operated by the city of Jacksonville. So whenever I get the question, I bump that question to my friend Councilman Rory Diamond to answer on behalf of Jacksonville. But we are eager to see that come back. We do have some plans to beautify the entrance of the pier. So whenever construction is complete, Jacksonville Beach will be improving the look of that. I'm personally going to be advocating that we take over not the ownership of the pier, but the management of the pier. It's a very important it's a tourist destination, but it's also used very regularly every morning by fishermen in our community. So I think that we can make that a more welcoming, inviting, and accessible place for people to visit or to utilize as a fishing pier.
Of course, we can only expect stronger storms as the oceans warm. We know sea level rise is a factor for beach communities like yours. You've been talking with your colleagues at the beaches, Mayor Elaine Brown of Neptune Beach and Mayor Ellen Glasser of Atlantic Beach, about how to develop a resiliency, a sustainability plan for the beach communities of this area. Can you talk a little bit more about how that's going?
I think one of the some of the biggest projects that we've done in Jacksonville Beach have been are underground, and that you can't really see. When I was doing a little bit of homework on this to get ready to talk to you, one of the major redevelopment components in the mid-'90s for downtown Jacksonville Beach was a stormwater vault. You don't know it's there. It's right under Beach Boulevard, west of 3rd Street, but it was to help increase our capacity to take stormwater out of the downtown area. And most recently, we just completed a FDOT project to help improve drainage off of A1A, we know as 3rd Street. That drainage project went all the way through the middle of North Jacksonville Beach and then out down Hopkins Creek in Neptune Beach to help drain storm water from our more trafficked areas, of course, the 3rd Street corridor, out to the intercoastal. So these are going to be big improvements as we see the periodic large storms come through. Ultimately, though, we are going to face sea level rise, particularly on the west side of our island. So we are definitely going to be working on our land development code and making sure that we can be as prepared as possible for that, putting things into our building codes in terms of if you're in that 2040, whatever model sea level rise area, that we can make sure that homeowners, our businesses, and our city government as prepared as possible for that.
All right, let's go to a few calls. By the way, before we go to your calls at 549-2937, here's a tweet for you from Charlene. What is the plan for the Old Pier Cantina?
The Old Pier Cantina was purchased by a company that was originally going to develop it as a Spring Hill Suites. And that was, as so many projects were, and we have a few in Jacksonville Beach, we aren't immune to the COVID impacts on development, was stalled a little bit. The company sold the property. I expect that it will probably come back as a hotel. But we don't have there's no additional building plans or anything like that I'm aware of submitted at this time.
All right, 549-2937. Let's hear from you, beach communities. Catherine in Jacks Beach. Hi, Catherine. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, go ahead.
As a business owner on 6th Avenue North up from Margaritaville, what is the plan for parking for those businesses? Because Margaritaville was allowed to open, they were required to have 2 or 1 parking space per room, which they do exactly. So their employees nor anyone that is dining or visiting for the day can park in the parking rooms. So we can't even park in front of our business during business hours or even on the weekends.
Right.
It's already bad because it's a public beach access, but is there a plan in place to help?
Oh, we lost her. But Catherine, I hear your question. We're getting comments on Facebook too, Mayor Hoffman, about parking when you restore the Jacks Beach Pier. Will there be more parking? Can you talk a little bit about that? As your community grows and becomes more and more of a hotspot, this is a good problem to have, but it's a real problem.
It is. It's. I would say it's a challenge. We have a lot of parking, but we don't have a lot of parking when the demand is the highest. And one of those for us, again, not during COVID times, but during a normal season, is on a sunny beach day and on, in the evening when our bars are more activated in that 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. time frame. My goal is to diversify the use of our downtown so that we spread out the demand for the parking, that we need it throughout the day and not just with that crush at the late night hours. Right now, we have a paid parking program that is in the city-owned lots throughout the area. So, for example, the Pier parking lot is a paid parking area. What's known as the Ritz parking lot is a paid parking area, and we have the kiosks, and you can go and you pay for the time that you are utilizing the space. What we haven't done, although we have certainly discussed this as something we will be doing in the future, or at least be considering in the future, is accommodating the on-street parking as well as the street-end parking in our paid parking program. I've been watching very closely the Beaches Town Center, and they have added not just the city parking lot in their commercial area, but they've added the streets and the street ends to their parking program. So something I'm watching right now, we do allow free parking even in the city lots in the winter months, so between October and March, and then we bring back paid parking on the weekends. But I think that we will have to really look at that, because even with the parking garage allowed at Margaritaville, for example, you have people that are utilizing that restaurant. Hopefully that a lot of people will just get on their bike and go and use the bike racks that are coming, but that's not always the case. So I think we need to make sure, again, to protect those businesses, increase turnover of the parking spots as well, by expanding our paid parking throughout the city. Now, that's just me talking. As far as this year coming up, we are going to continue the paid parking lots as we have had them for the past 2 years.
You know, when you go to other places around Florida, it's a lot more difficult to find parking than it is in Jacksonville Beach, right? I mean, it's a challenge, but it could be a lot worse. I think it's fair to say.
There's never enough parking for the places you want to be. And I look back again, being here at the museum. There's some aerial pictures of Jacksonville Beach in the 60s, and it's just ballpark size parking lots on the ocean, empty, surrounding, the flag pavilion and things like that. I definitely don't want to go back to that. So I really support getting creative in terms of transportation, beach buggies, rideshare programs, bikes, as I said, and I will keep saying, are a wonderful form of transportation in our community. So to have as much parking as people think we need to have, that's all we would have downtown. And we need places that people want to go, more importantly than that. So,
We're speaking with...
But it is something we monitor all the time.
Sure. We're speaking with Mayor Christine Hoffman of Jacksonville Beach, 549-2937. Debbie in Jacks Beach. Hi, Debbie. Good morning.
Good morning. I had a question about boat owners. We own a boat, and we have a very hard time finding a place to park our boat and trailer when we're wanting to, after we've launched. Are there any plans to help us out with more parking?
Okay, that's a good one too.
This is why I love Jacksonville Beach. We so appreciate our natural environment. We're surrounded by water, and when these are the issues and challenges, they're legitimate issues and challenges, but what great problems to have. We are definitely looking at more boat ramp access opportunities in Jacksonville Beach. I don't have anything that I can share at this time, but yes, it's definitely a concern and a challenge and something we are looking at.
Kurt in Jacksonville Beach. Hey, Kurt, good morning.
I just wanted to note that I am a local business owner here, and everything that's been happening in Jacksonville Beach has really benefited my business. We're going to probably triple our business this year and bring at least twice the employees on, so that's excellent. And I really do compliment the new mayor and the city council members, because I've been working with them pretty closely to help grow my business. And
what's your business, Kurt?
Excellent.
Can you plug your business for us?
Yeah, it's a Beach Life Rentals. We rent chairs, umbrellas, bikes, surfboards, paddleboards, kayaks, pretty much anything recreational to all the guests out here and even the locals. So it's because everybody's been coming out and wanting to be outside, we've really been seeing a lot of growth, and we thank the community, and like I said, I really thank the city for allowing us to grow the way we have.
That's great, Kurt. I'm glad to hear that. So guys like Kurt are doing well, Mayor Hoffman, because as he pointed out, there are a lot of activities that we haven't been able to do in this pandemic, but something that, if we're careful, we can still safely do is just go out to the beach.
Absolutely. And I don't think I have ever appreciated that more than I did last year when we were not allowed to go on the beach. And I think that we heard from so many citizens, they're walking their dogs. They are, I like to do a little morning paddle boarding, things like that, that the opportunity that we have to utilize our most valuable asset, there's no question about it, is our ocean front. So we spend a lot of time appreciating that and utilizing it for recreation, but it's also a big focus for the city on making sure that it's clean and well maintained, that our dune walkovers are in place and safe and clear. So it's a big focus not only for the recreation side, but also on the city infrastructure side as well. So we're glad when people can enjoy it, and we're thankful for that.
Can I ask you, Mayor Hoffman, I know you're working on a new vaccination site at the beaches, and people are eagerly awaiting news about that. Bring us up to date. Where do things stand there?
I think the big challenge for residents of the beaches was when the first vaccine site came out, and it was the Prime Osborne. That can be almost an hour drive for residents here, and the people that need it most may not have the most access to that transportation. So we have such a large county, and that has its pros, but it has its cons in a case like this. So we've been working both with, and again, with my colleagues, Mayors Brown and Glasser, on working with the city, because there's city distribution sites and there's state distribution sites. So there's several different avenues, but we've been working with our city representatives as well as our state representatives to bring a site closer or onto the beach. We also, we just heard the news, and I think that it's close. We're getting closer with the Walmart announcement. So the Walmarts that are listed, I believe it's the Kernan and Atlantic Boulevard Walmart, as well as I believe the San Pablo and Atlantic Boulevard Walmart. But I would encourage anyone who's interested in signing up for an appointment there to visit their website to ensure that those are the accurate locations. But it's close, definitely much closer, much more accessible to our citizens and residents here in Jacksonville Beach.
Now, you are also the executive director of the Beaches Museum. Let's take a little bit of time to talk about your work there and how we can learn from the history of these communities as you plan for growing them in the future.
My friend Chris Hand said it one time, and it really gave me some perspective that in both of my roles, I stand at the intersection of Jacksonville Beach's past, present, and future. And it's a really great spot to be in cases like this, looking back at Jacksonville Beach's downtown redevelopment. We've had a lot of transition in Jacksonville Beach, and it's so interesting to see how we got here. And a lot of people lament over the Ferris wheel and the roller coaster are no longer here. But when you really look back at why those disappeared from our landscape, it had a lot to do with just trends in the nation and in our region. You had the Matthews Bridge opening, Regency Mall opened in 1968, I believe, and consolidation of our government happened. So all of these things affected Jacksonville Beach to where it essentially became a blighted area in what would be considered blighted in the 60s and 70s, that the Community Redevelopment Agency was established in Jacksonville Beach in 1978. So that really gave us an opportunity to focus on downtown. The thing that people will remember the most is the mid-90s when we redeveloped the Seawalk Pavilion. We did a City Hall development, the Walgreens, the sneakers. There's a reason Walgreens, sneakers, Carrabba's, and City Hall all look alike. It's because they were developed together as part of that redevelopment plan. But a lot of that was infrastructure. So the stormwater vaults I mentioned earlier, redoing the streetscapes and things, and the drainage of the downtown area. And those are things that will help lead to people being confident investing downtown. If we had a downtown that flooded with every big rain, it would be a lot harder for people to confidently invest and develop downtown properties. So the things that we've done in the past most certainly impact our future.
Yeah. And so, as I mentioned, you are the first female mayor of Jacksonville Beach. All of the beach's mayors are women right now. When you look ahead, we talked about planning for climate change. What are some of the other long-term challenges you see for these beach communities?
I'm really excited that it doesn't sound exciting to everyone, but our community, Jacksonville Beach, is going to be embarking on a strategic planning process. If you can believe it, we do not currently have a strategic plan. And with anyone who's been involved with an organization, not having a strategic plan is driving without a map. And you're going to get somewhere, but you don't have any idea when you start where you're going to end up. So those are things that we're going to need to address from a strategic viewpoint. And we actually have a full-day retreat coming up later this month for our city council. But we have to decide what are the big issues, what are the short-term, what are the long-term issues, and what are our strategies going to be to face those issues. We talk a lot about downtown, but this will be a citywide strategic plan, and it started with a lot of community involvement. Our city manager did a series of community visioning meetings where he sat down with citizens, with business owners, and heard straight from them what their concerns, what their hopes, and what their vision for the future was. And so we'll be using that to help frame the strategic plan and address all of those big picture issues, as well as our strategies and our action items on how we're going to approach them in the coming years. So I'm really looking forward to that.
And can you repeat again when that's going to kick off and how the public can weigh in on that or follow along with that?
Sure. So the community vision meetings happened, straddled, most of them were in person pre-COVID, some of them were virtual. And then the first meeting that we're going to have on it is later this month. It'll be for the council to work with the Florida Institute of Government to have them lead us through the framework of the process. So from there, we do expect opportunities for citizen input and to help us frame that strategic plan. We don't have the exact schedule or anything like that yet, but that'll come as the result of this first meeting.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time. Mayor Christine Hoffman of Jacksonville Beach on the line with lots of good news. So thanks, Mayor, and see you soon.
Thank you. My pleasure. Have a good day.
Much more coming up later in the hour. We were talking about all these new restaurants and bars. At any place you go, outdoor seating is prized right now for obvious reasons. One spot up on Amelia Island is expanding. We'll tell you how you can enjoy the menu there without going indoors. That's later this hour, but up next.
Grubhub has literally gone so far as to make duplicate phone numbers for restaurants that have agreements with them. And so when a customer tries to call in an order through Yelp, it goes through this phone number, gets forwarded to the restaurant, and then Grubhub charges the restaurant.
Sounding off about food delivery apps. One local customer at the beach said the delivery driver stole his dog. Restaurant owners say the apps are predatory. Do you use Grubhub, Postmates, DoorDash? And education next. We'll be right back.
ViStar believes that more convenience is better. With full-service branches throughout North and Central Florida and more than 20,000 surcharge-free ATMs throughout North America. Learn more about all that ViStar has to offer at vistarcu.org.
Anthology Turntable Tuesday can now be heard at noon and 9 p.m. every Tuesday on the WJCT app and 89.9 HD3. Join us for music from vinyl on Anthology Turntable Tuesday, part of WJCT's Jacksonville Music Experience.
From black and white to colored TV, from Channel 7 to WJCT, we have been your trusted source for the very best in education, entertainment, and news programming for more than 60 years. But as the way we all watch evolves, so will our name. WJCT TV will become Jax PBS beginning February 2021. New name, same mission. Educate, involve, inspire.
BritBox and PBS Passport are now offering the best of all your favorite British drama, comedy, and more when you sign up at jaxbundle.com. Start watching today.
It's the biggest stories affecting the Sunshine State. Hi, I'm Melissa Ross.
And I'm Tom Hudson. Join us Friday for the Florida Roundup.
Each week at noon, we interview newsmakers and people from across the state discussing the stories and issues that affect your life. What's driving the conversation in Florida?
Join the conversation on the Florida Roundup.
Every Friday at noon on WJCT News 89.9. Welcome back. Well, food delivery apps are pretty popular right now, no surprise. In this pandemic, people are generally seeking to avoid crowded indoor restaurants if they can and choosing more often to eat at home. But the apps have plenty of critics. In a few moments, we'll hear from one local restaurant owner who says these apps are predatory and don't help his business. They actually hurt it. But first, the tale of a food delivery gone very awry. And now it involves attorney Rick Block of Jax Beach. Block says a man they thought was their Grubhub delivery driver stole his dog while delivering a pizza to his wife last week.
When the Grubhub person, or who we thought was a Grubhub person, gave her the pizza, Lexi stepped out the door. Kimberly, because she had her mask on, didn't see it, closed the door, came in, put the pizza down, took a bite of pizza, and immediately saw that that Lexi, our puppy, wasn't there because she's always right at her side. And sure enough, the doorman backed up the surveillance camera and saw who we thought was the Grubhub delivery guy getting into the elevator with our puppy.
Police did nab that suspect, and the Blocks did get their dog back. Now, a Grubhub spokesperson told our partner News4Jax that the man who was arrested was not a Grubhub driver and has never been contracted with the company. The spokesperson said he was using another driver's account without Grubhub's permission or knowledge. That explanation did not satisfy Block. And it's unwelcome publicity for a popular food delivery app that's getting lots of use in this pandemic, along with plenty of other apps like DoorDash, Postmates, Uber Eats, as people, as I said, shy away from in-person restaurant dining to avoid coronavirus. People using the app aren't the only ones raising questions about this new method of delivering food. Restaurant owners generally don't like them either. Yeah, now that might seem surprising, but the owners of many locally owned eateries say the apps can be predatory and often more trouble than they're worth. They would prefer you call the restaurant directly to order your food so that their local staff can get paid. I spoke about it with one local restaurant owner, Daniel Ballesteros of Subcultured in Atlantic Beach. Hey, Daniel, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So you're the co-owner of Subcultured in Atlantic Beach. Your wife also works at the restaurant. Restaurants all throughout this pandemic have had, I guess, a love-hate relationship at best with delivery services like Grubhub and others. Can you explain why these are problematic for restaurant owners?
I mean, the main thing is obviously the commissions that they charge us. Most restaurants are paying, 30%. Sometimes that doesn't even include the credit card processing, so it pushes you somewhere closer to 35% of the order total. Not to mention that you lose some of your proprietary customers. Like those people, like they're not your customers. Like you don't have their contact information. They might have never visited your restaurant, and they might have delivery issues with the application and then blame the restaurant themselves.
So there's a lot of issues. On the face of it, it would seem like this is a godsend for anyone in the culinary world, but it's more complicated than that. Consumers, they're just trying to get food delivered to their home any way they can. They don't always stop to think about the fact that these middlemen, these delivery services, at least in your perspective, are gouging the restaurateurs. So what are you telling your customers when they want to order from Subcultured? What are you encouraging them to do?
I mean, we obviously prefer, we handle our own in-house deliveries. So we obviously like to, do our own deliveries. And then obviously we encourage pickups. We don't really have a dining room, so we're more of a takeaway spot to begin with. And we do offer, we are partnered with DoorDash, pretty limited though. We don't really do it during our peak hours.
And haven't you also asked some of these services to stop uploading your menu and taking delivery from your restaurant? Is that right?
Yeah. So that's the major issue I have is that, Postmates, Uber Eats, Grubhub, like we have no relationship with these companies. We've never had a relationship with them. We've never given them permission to list us on their applications. We've never given them a menu. We've never gone over pricing. And I mean, we get some days it's 8, 9, 10, people walking up to place an order. And most of the time I take the order because I feel bad that the driver's already wasted, X amount of their time just coming to our restaurant. And it's not their fault that half the time they don't even know we're not a partner. They're like, hey, I'm here for this order. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. We don't have that order.
So you see them, you see them as kind of predatory then, I guess.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Grubhub has literally gone so far as to make duplicate phone numbers for restaurants that have agreements with them. And they charge the restaurant and they list those numbers on Yelp. And so when a customer tries to call in an order through Yelp, it goes through this phone number, gets forwarded to the restaurant, and then Grubhub charges the restaurant a fee just for somehow replacing that restaurant's phone number on Yelp.
Wow. So, what are restaurant owners like yourself doing when culinary associations get together and they talk about this problem as an industry? What's the industry doing about this?
There's a couple of startups that have been kind of trying to solve this problem, which I'm just really starting to look into partnering with them. Chow Now and Olo are the two that I've heard of, and they're offering like some kind of subscription-based, integration where they're handling your ordering interface, and then they're also integrating you with the delivery partners. So they have, because DoorDash has come out with a service called DoorDash Drive, and DoorDash Drive is more of an on-demand delivery service where the restaurant is still maintaining their own customer relationship. They're handling the order, and then you actually request DoorDash to send you a driver, and then they take the food where you tell them to send it. And I think that's probably the future of restaurant delivery. I don't see the current model. It's just not sustainable. Mm-hmm. As more and more people switch to using apps instead of going to brick and mortars, that commission is just, it's not possible. Like, it's not sustainable for restaurants to be giving away 30% of their orders as it becomes a majority of orders, which is what happened at the beginning of the pandemic. In my opinion, it kind of shifted the timeline where instead of 5-10 years in the future, it was just an instant thing where all of a sudden the majority of orders were, through delivery apps and that type of thing.
Well, in the meantime, as people make their food orders from their favorite restaurants, are you advising them to call the restaurant directly rather than order delivery through an app?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, people order through us on DoorDash that are in our delivery zone. So not only am I losing a commission, but now they're paying this exorbitant amount of fees instead of just calling us and getting it delivered in a way simpler method. And so, at least call and check, see if you're in their delivery zone. If you're not, ask them if they have a preferred delivery partner, that type of thing. And I think that would definitely be helpful for the restaurateurs.
Let's keep it all in mind and support our locally owned restaurants. Daniel Ballesteros, co-owner of Subcultured in Atlantic Beach. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
So the cost of convenience is higher than we all might have realized when we click on DoorDash, Postmates, Grubhub, Uber Eats, whatever app you have on your phone. Now, over the past several months, restaurants, consumers, even some senators have started protesting these apps' common practice of charging punitive 20 to 30% commission rates for every order. Cities around the country are looking at easing this burden. Some major cities are temporarily capping fees at 15% per order as long as the pandemic lasts. Now, this is a complicated economic picture. When we look at this, people have pointed out, look, these apps are employing people. It's a side hustle for someone who might be laid off in the pandemic. At least they can earn a little money delivering food. That's true. But at the same time, you could look at this as a new form of indentured servitude, as some economists have said. These are essential workers, hourly workers. They can't afford to stay home, and they are endangering their health going out and doing this kind of work. And struggling small business owners. For decades, they've been at the mercy of these tech giants. They are the ones on the front lines. And when it comes to the people literally running out and making these deliveries, they are disproportionately Black, brown, and Asian. According to one study, they make an average of about $26,000 a year. It's common to see retired senior citizens out doing this kind of work, too. I've seen quite a few. People in their 70s, even their 80s, working for these apps because they aren't financially secure. How does that sit with you? So make the effort to order directly, if you can, from your favorite restaurant. And check to see if they deliver, if you are in their delivery zone. Sometimes they will deliver to you directly without a third-party app, and they would prefer to do that. And if you can, if it's convenient, just go to the restaurant and pick up the food for takeout. That's the message we're hearing today from locally owned restaurant owners. Speaking of the food and beverage world, we're going to continue this theme in a moment. If you're looking for a place to enjoy the ocean while dining and drinking safely, a local brewery is expanding. We'll drop in on Amelia Island Brewing Company in a few moments. We'll be right back. You're listening to First Coast Connect on WJCT News 89.9. Stay with us.
Here's one of those phrases that has become so overused it's almost lost its meaning.
Cancel culture, they call it.
The cancel culture threatens the very principles.
Cancel culture is a real thing.
American people are tired of the cancel culture.
The term cancel culture has been overstretched and bleached of its original intent. How that happened on the next morning edition from NPR News.
Tomorrow starting at 5 on WJCT News 89.9.
Congaree and Penn, dedicated to agriculture and culinary endeavors, offering field-to-fork dining and outdoor experiences on over 300 acres. Sip, dine, explore. Information at congareeandpenn.com.
Cindy Tomasetti of Watson Realty Corp., offering full-time assistance to buyers and sellers with white glove service, video tours, and remote transactions available. Info at cindyt@watsonrealtycorp.com.
In celebration of Henry Louis Gates Jr.'s new documentary, The Black Church, WJCT is collecting stories and memories of your experiences. What does the Black Church mean to you? What role has it played in your life? Share your thoughts and memories and have your stories archived for future generations. Visit wjct.org/blackchurch for instructions.
For 10,000 years, humans have inflicted their will on the natural world. New Yorker staff writer Elizabeth Colbert joins us to talk about how scientists are looking to address climate change by studying the ways plants and animals have already adapted to live alongside us. Her new book is called Under a White Sky: The Nature of the Future. And that's next time on Think. Tonight at 10 on WJCT News 89.9.
California and Hawaii have passed new laws to better protect victims of domestic violence. This legislation expands the definition of abuse to include harm that's also psychological, financial, and emotional. Parts of Europe criminalized such behavior years ago. I'm Jen White. What is coercive control, and how do these laws help? Next time on 1A.
Today starting at 10 on WJCT News 89.9.
Welcome back. Well, Amelia Island Brewing Company is hosting the grand opening of its newest spot today. It's The Alley by AIBC. It's a new taproom venue on the island, and yes, it features some outdoor seating. Megan Giorgio, General Manager, is on the line. Hi, Megan.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks. And also your brewmaster, Jay Mack, joining us. Hey, Jay.
Hey there, how are you?
Good to have you both on the show. So let's begin with you, Megan. Amelia Island Brewing Company has been operating for a few years now from your home on Center Street up there in Fernandina. The first ever craft brewery on Amelia Island, and all of your brews are named after historic women, which is very cool. We've been talking about good news today all throughout the hour, and this is some more good news, talk of expansion. You have some expansion plans up there, which is unusual, I guess, in these times. So tell us how you're able to do this and what's on tap, literally.
Yes, ma'am. So I will say the expansion was definitely part of the plan from all along. So we feel absolutely fortunate that we were able to do this, especially during this time. We had a really great team working on it. Of course, we encountered some setbacks, but nonetheless, today is the grand opening, so we're super excited about that. The best part about the alley over there by AIBC is, it's really for the beer lover. It's the beer lover with light bites. We have 12 taps that are shared with the alley and the tavern, and then we have the opportunity to have 12 unique taps over next door as well. So we just had an early release of our Verona, our double chocolate stout. We brought back our Oktoberfest for a limited time as well. But there's some really, really fun stuff over there.
Okay, now you're going to add 1,700 square feet of drinking and dining space. People will be able to come out beneath rooftop skylights. You'll have space for live music. But this tap room is COVID friendly, yes?
Yes, ma'am. So we do still, with Fernandina Beach, we do still require masks if guests are standing and walking through the alleyway. When they are seated and eating and drinking, they're able to take that off. But we do ask that when they're traveling through the building that they do wear their masks. And our staff is still in masks as well. We do employee COVID questionnaires, employee temperature checks when they walk in, and we are extraordinarily diligent on sanitizing every single thing everyone touches.
Now, today is the grand opening. J. Mac, you've got handcrafted brews featured on 24 taps. Is that right? And all your craft brews named after historic women. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, when I started in 2017, our branding and our branding guy pretty much came up with the naming convention. It was like followed right along with it. It's like, hey, I can go with that, and it's made an interesting process with the entire thing as far as how it works and how we find the names. A lot of times our staff will come up to us and say, hey, I want a beer named after me. And I'm like, that's fine. However, I want you to find me a historic reference for that. And it's worked quite well for us.
What are some of the names?
Well, we have Madison, that is named after Dolly Madison. And we have Brooke, which is named after Dorothy Brooke. The interesting thing with Dorothy Brooke is after World War I, she rescued horses in the Middle East that had been left from World War I. So that was a very significant historic feature with that one.
Nice. And this is small batch brewing. Megan, breweries, microbreweries are a proven economic development engine. And so how do you see your business playing that role on Amelia Island?
We're very fortunate. So Jay is actually working with his team right now, and we are upgrading our brewery system as we speak. So with the demand, because they just make the most incredible beer, we kind of can't keep up at this point. So they're actually expanding their brew house to get larger tanks in there so we can produce more. But, something that's really great about Jay and his team is they stick to the core values. Our motto here is hold the line. And that means everything that we do, we keep the integrity, we hold the line. No tricks up our sleeves, but they do some really, really great creative things. And my favorite part about working here, I will say, is that I feel like we have something for everyone. I came from country clubs. I was not a big beer drinker. And I feel like every single thing I taste here, I'm like, I could drink that. And it's really cool. And it's really fun to have guests come in that say they don't really like beer, and we're able to kind of find something that they really enjoy, or find 4 things they really enjoy, and they just get a flight and really enjoy themselves. So I think with Jay and his team, they really hold the line, and they really set the standard. And I think people appreciate that, and they recognize that as well.
Now, today is the grand opening, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, starting at noon? No, 4 o'clock today.
Yes, so we actually have the chamber coming out at 2 o'clock, and we'll do a ribbon cutting, and we'll have live music from 2 to 6 today.
Everybody check it out. Amelia Island Brewing Company with an expansion today on Center Street in Fernandina Beach. Some good news as businesses after a tough time are moving forward. So thank you both so much, and congrats to General Manager Megan Giorgio and Brewmaster J. Mac. Have fun.
Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
And that's our show. Thanks to all of our guests and callers. Our producer is Heather Schatz, who maybe checking that grand opening out today. Josh Torres might go with, or I don't know, he's our show director. Our news director is Jessica Palumbo, and Bill Bortsfield is our digital editor. Keep your emails coming. Send them to firstcoastconnect@wjct.org. And you can listen to our podcast later today, wherever you like to listen, or through the WJCT app. I'm Melissa Ross. This is First Coast Connect on WJCT News 89.9. We'll be right back here again at 9 a.m. tomorrow for our Friday Media Roundtable. Talk to you then.
Support for First Coast Connect is provided